We're there. We're live.
Good evening, keystrokers. I'm Kalene Williams here with Lauren Moore and Scott Moon on this Thursday night. We're here to talk with you about a brand new keystroke medium segment, The Writer's Journey. Our focus is on the journey to becoming a writer and maintaining both the business side and the writing side. Each and every one of you have a slightly different concept of what your business looks like, but that has to start somewhere. First, we'll introduce ourselves, I'm assuming, and tell a bit about where we're at in this authoring game. Lauren, go.
Hey, okay, I'm an editor. I've been editing for a couple years now. Before that, I was an English teacher in China and then in Pennsylvania. Now I'm working on my first novel. It's a historical romance. I've got the draft written and I'm in the revision stages, and I've got 2 more planned after this. So that's where I'm at. So I'm a new author or wannabe author. I've got a lot to learn. There's a whole lot that I'm looking forward to exploring with you guys on this journey, with you guys in the chat stream, definitely, and with my other hosts, and then the guests we're going to get and bring on a show coming up every Thursday night. Yeah.
Did you say China?
Yeah, China. Yeah, I was there for a year back in 2008 during the Olympics.
How'd you wind up in China? Teaching English, I assume?
Yeah, teaching English. Yeah, actually, I graduated in 2007 and applied for jobs. Couldn't really find them in the U.S., but I found one in China, so I went and I did that for a year and learned a lot about teaching, which was great because then I ended up teaching for the next 7 years after that. So yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you get out of the China experience. You have a whole podcast for China experience and whatnot. So good stuff. Kalene, you going next, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I can go next. I've been published for about 4 years now, but I still feel very much like a new author, just starting out. I am in the process of redoing my covers for the 3rd time, because the concept of genre and I guess matching my story to the genres and the themes has been very difficult for me. So, 3rd time's a charm. I finally figured out which genre best fits my writing style and the scope of what it is that I write. So that's awesome. So I've just sort of been tackling that and tailoring my next series a little bit more into that genre as well. Okay.
Cool. Now, I don't know what's going on with my mic. I had some people in the chat say I sound like I'm talking in a tunnel, which is cool, I guess, given the right. Can you at least
kind of go in and out?
Okay. I don't know. It's weird. Can you at least understand what I'm saying, or?
A little slightly robotic, but not too bad.
Oh God.
Is there like a thing you can like plug in and plug out?
Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna mute my mic. And
all of a sudden, it got better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Whatever you are, don't move. It's an antenna. Just stay right there.
How's that right there?
Perfect.
Okay, good.
Scott's not allowed to move at all.
I'm gonna look very, very stiff and artificial the whole show in this exact position and whatnot. So, before we got started, we were going through the show plan, and we have some questions. And how do we classify these questions? The 8 questions.
Like meet the host questions.
Yeah, meet the host questions. And so we decided, I was like, well, should we do them all at once? Should we go through them? And we came up with the idea that we're going to do random. So that's why the dice is for. We're not generating characters here, although that would be a very interesting show. We could do character generation like D&D style and then kick it around and see what we come up with. That might be a fun show.
Do some live action on a show.
Yeah, do some live action. So where I'm at in my writing journey as far as the intro, I've been writing for a very long time. A lot of people have already heard my story, but I started when I was 12, which is like 1,000 years ago, basically. And but where I'm at right now, I started doing the indie thing around 2012. I have several books out. I work with Josh and several other guests we've had on the show with my writing. So I'm like, definitely experienced, but I'm definitely still trying to make that final leap. Like, I could not go full time right now, partially because I've got a lot of kids. and whatnot. But I'm getting close. I'm real close, and I would like to get there and then show the people I'm good as well. So that's kind of where I'm at in a nutshell. Not belaboring on my stuff. So, what do we want to? We want to go into one of these icebreakers, or the meet the host questions, or we want to cover the writing stuff first? You guys pick. I can roll dice and we can questions if you want.
Well, your sound keeps on getting kind of muffly.
Okay, I'm gonna try something.
But Kalene, when did you first think about becoming a writer?
So I've actually been writing probably since I was about 10. I did a lot of, in the forums with the chats, and it's kind of like the high speed RPG where you're writing the responses that everybody else is writing responses. So if they get one in before you, you have to quickly adjust your response if it's going to differ what their character is doing. So that's kind of my introduction into writing. And then I joined forums and moderated, giant RPGs with posts that way. So you could do a little bit more thought out ones. And I always had Krunthi in my mind. I started developing it. I was probably like 11 or 12. So it's been like, 20 years now. I've been developing this universe. And it was, probably about 5 years ago was when I finally sort of figured out the types of stories that I wanted to tell within that universe. So that's what I've been doing since, and they won't shut up. It's like I opened a floodgate and just all these characters just keep rambling on about things they want to say, and I'm just like, well, let me finish with this guy first, please. And they're like, no, you're gonna have to take some notes on me for a second. So
did you find that working with strangers online helped you to develop your own plots, make connections that you wouldn't have seen with the characters before?
Actually, yeah, because like through like the high speed RPG role playing, you have like your character sheet. So you have your character name, you develop strengths and weaknesses beforehand. If there's magic, what sort of magic, where they're from, that whole, character building concept. And then there's just like a really loosely based, there's a war going on, we're in the mountains, go. And people just start typing, characters say and do things, and then the people react, and you have to be quick about it, because if what you want to do is going to negate what somebody else does, then the story doesn't make sense. Right. So, and if like those two like things come in at the same time, then someone else is like fixing it with their posts. It's a really fast-paced way of writing. It has died. It's been dead for about probably about 18 years, 15 years. I've never seen them pop up since then, but if anyone ever has the chance to do that, it's really fun.
Monday night, we're talking a lot about collaboration and how collaboration is going to be a big, we think more authors will be collaborating in 2019, just kind of continuing that trend from the past couple of years. So it's interesting to see that, years ago, you were already collaborating with people you didn't even know. One of the things I'm interested in is logistically, how do you make collaborations work? I see JR is on our chat. I know JR is doing a collaboration right now. I wonder.
Is that any better?
Yeah, much better. Thanks.
Much better. Okay. Who knows what I did? I probably had the wrong mic hooked up or something. So.
Scott, you're a good person to ask about collaborations too, because you've done.
I got lots of thoughts on collaborations.
You right now, yeah. We're just gonna have to have a whole episode on that. How to make collaborations work.
I can give a couple of quick things right now, unless we're on the something else. I lost track. Okay, so for collaborations, my personal thoughts. Haven't done a couple. I of course did collaborations with Craig Martell, with Richard Fox. I've also done some collaboration with Josh and a few other people. So. If we go at this from you want to be commercially successful with a collaborative author, I think, and regardless, the collaboration, one, it has to be somebody you can work with. And so maybe you start with something small. Like Josh and I did a short story together for Chris Kennedy's, one of his anthologies. And it was, was a learning experience, and we learned a lot. But in general, you kind of need to see, because there are a lot of work that actually can slow you down a lot. And so you need to make sure you can work with somebody. But then I generally recommend, if you're going to do a collaboration, like most of the people here, I assume, want to be like commercially successful, it needs to be an unequal partnership. So an unequal partnership. You need to, well, so you need somebody like, so for example, with Richard, ours started because he was having massive success and he couldn't write his books fast enough. And so we're talking about, you know what, you have success and name recognition and you can sell books, and I am not at that level. So it benefits me because anything we do together is going to have a pretty good chance of being seen and read. Whereas I can help him with doing a lot of the grunt work. And I was also already knew his universe. I'd listened to it several times, and I was really into it. So it's unequal. He had something to give me because he could sell books, and I had something to give him because I had time to write in his universe and knew his universe. So that's what I mean by unequal. If what I see a lot is like two people have no commercial success and haven't unlocked the marketing thing yet, they start to collaborate. That'll benefit you, but maybe not in the way you think, because you might make a great product, but you still got to market it.
Right.
So that makes assumptions. Now, if you're looking for the best artistic project, then that's totally different. You may want to find somebody who's like you can really work with and have different strengths.
So what I'm hearing is start small, like with a short story, maybe then work up to a novella. But part of the purpose of that is to see how you work together, if you work well together, and then how you work well together, and then maybe make a process between the two of you. And then also look for someone who has something you do not have. So they might have a platform, whereas you've got time for writing. We've got our chat going. JR says, go ahead, Kalene, you read it off.
Oh, I was gonna say, Bard's asking, how do we who are lesser hook up with someone who is successful for a collab? So, you know, how do you go about finding those people?
So that's a tricky question, and we may get off in the weeds a little bit. So let me take a quick shot off without thinking about it too much. So with the earlier point too is when you do your testing, it doesn't necessarily have to. You don't have to necessarily write a short story or a book. You can just like do like a Google Hangout and brainstorm some ideas and kick around some planning, and then you might find out we're not going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to work together because somebody has to let go. Like if I write a story for Richard, I have to eventually, somebody has to be the deciding person. And if you're both completely equal and nobody has like decision authority on when a story is done, then you're going to bang heads, and it's going to take you literally 10 times longer than it would be just doing it yourself, because you're going to have different visions no matter how close you are. But so that's a side point. How to find somebody. So Josh and I talk about this a lot. And we met Richard, and I met Craig Martell and Jason Onsbach, Nick Cole, Chris Kennedy, all the people that we collaborate with. We met them all through the show. Now, does that mean what you should do is go start a podcast and meet a bunch of writers? Not necessarily. That happened to work for us, and we were really fortunate. So I'd say the best thing to do is, and it's such lame advice because it sounds so general, but you need to go out and help people. And like, so if you're really good at one thing, you go out, you just help people, not really expecting a lot back. Like say you can do good web design, or say you're a good beta reader and stuff, and you meet people, you develop friendships. You don't go into it thinking, I'm going to meet this person and then we're going to write a book and I'm going to get rich. You need to go out and develop relationships, and relationships are about helping each other. And then it'll come naturally to the point where you're like, you know what, I think we can do this together. That feels like the smartest way to go about it. Like meeting at a conference, meeting at your local writers group. And then lastly, before I turn the mic back over, is it may not be possible at first. You may have to do some collaborations with people who are not necessarily more successful than you are, and you both come up together. That's still an option. And then when you meet that person, like when you meet, Patterson or somebody, you can say, I've done 7 collaborations and all my collaborators say I'm easy to work with and I know what I'm doing. and now you have kind of a resume, so to speak.
Right. And then Scott, would you say that most of the bigger authors, what they need is someone to help them get the words out? Like they're looking for a partner who can write well.
Right.
A lot.
So what you're looking for is somebody who literally can't write fast enough, because their readers are so into them, and they will naturally be looking for somebody. And then for that to work, you have to be a true, legitimate fan of their work. You can't go, hey, I see that Jay Chaney is killing it. I've never read a single one of his books. I think I'm going to go ask him if we can collaborate. That's not going to work. But if you really love their work, then it's going to make it easier on several levels. But there are people like with Craig Martell. When I send him a story from the Dark Landing thing, his beta readers would have their comments back to me that same day. I would send him a story at 11 o'clock in the morning. By 3 in the afternoon, they read the whole story with comments and gave it back to me. And so you can't, and that's how his fans are. You can't write fast enough. Unless you're writing 3 books a week, you can't keep up with them. So he needs people to work with. And then you got to work out the mechanics. Like, do you outline together? Do you brainstorm? Who does what? And so on.
Right.
Yeah,
okay, so
we're definitely gonna need a whole show for collaborations.
Yeah,
for sure.
We can come back. Sorry.
No,
this
you're
is good.
good.
This is good. Great tips. Yeah, JR, just to kind of catch up with the chat, JR says, I disagree. Before that, sorry. Chris does the first draft and I expand it in the second draft, so we contribute equally. Okay, so one author's going first and the other takes that and revises the draft and contributes his thoughts. Or I write and send Chris the chapters I need written and meld them together. And then JR also says 2 noobs can do it together equally.
Yeah.
Each Team, which is his first big collaboration novel, is doing well. It just came out, it's doing well, and neither of us are huge names.
Yeah, and so that's totally going to work. It's just I'm saying that it is something to keep in mind, that you're getting different things with different types of collaborations and stuff.
I definitely want to have a well-rounded, like each person has some strengths,
right,
that can contribute.
Josh and I are working on some stuff right now where he is really good at structure and outlining, and I'm really good about chasing rabbits, basically. But I can write pretty fast. So we're doing a thing where we brainstorm together, world build. He's going to write the outlines and all the structure. I'm going to write the first draft, and then he's going to do whatever he wants to the second draft. And I understand that when I give it to him, it's his to do whatever he wants to with it. And that's kind of the agreement we have. And I think that's going to work pretty good for us. But we know each other pretty well.
Well, he knows what fans are looking for, so it would be good.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. That
I trust him, and I trust him to make corrections. And for me personally, like if I write something and my collaborator butchers it, I'm just going to write more stuff. I don't really care. I can write another story tomorrow. I'm not going to get too upset about it, because anyway. So there's
always another story.
Right. Don't get too locked into one story.
All right. Consistently, Christy, she says, I'm mostly letting my co-author get final rule because it's his IP, but we discuss elements together. So partnership and teamwork, that's good.
Like in a good relationship, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So should we roll the dice and look at
should roll.
Question?
Let's roll that dice.
Let's roll.
You have to trust me. I don't have any way to show you what I'm rolling because my camera's up there. So let me try it. I got a 4.
All about trust.
It's a 4. So what's 4?
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Right, guys, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Yeah. Oh, God.
I say Galaxy's Edge.
Cheater. That's my interval.
I'm reading through the whole series right now, and I'm just loving them all.
They are awesome. That's probably a legit answer, actually.
So this is tough for me. So I love both equally. My dad was a extreme Trekkie nerd. The whole thing, and I love Star Wars. So I'm gonna say both. Can I say both? I'm gonna say both.
Sure.
I'm rereading the question. Actually, we can edit that to say Star Trek and or Star Wars is the question.
There you go.
I'm going to say I'm going to divide it by time. It's my standard answer for the Star Trek, Star Wars. depends on when we're talking. Like, 20 years ago, I was definitely all Star Wars, and it's because what was the first big Star Wars movie where they found Viger and the big storm cloud that was coming back with the Voyager thing, and I was like, that's really not very exciting. I want to see somebody getting in a blaster fight. Yeah. So there's different Star Treks. Nowadays, the Star Treks are a lot more like Star Wars because they're more action and not like that. But that's just me. So, oh man, if I had to pick right now, if I had to go see a movie right now, I think I would probably go see like the newest Star Trek movie. But that's really surprising me because I like Star Wars. And I'm not a big Star Wars hater with all the new stuff. I liked Solo. I thought it was entertaining. I don't know why people got to be hating on it. So that's just me. I'm easy to please. I just want to go have fun at the movie theater.
Don't think about it too much.
All right, Bard, is Bard answering the question here?
Bard says, I live both.
I think he meant love. He loves both.
I think you can go either way. Live, love. Live, love.
Live the love.
Yeah.
He wants to write 2 series that clash and give Babs the classic Star Wars or give fans classic Star Wars or Trek they've always wanted. Yeah, good idea.
Absolutely. And then JR.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. JR says Star Wars or Firefly or Galaxy's Edge.
Too hard to choose.
Yeah, I do love Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is something. It's one of those reading experiences that you come across every now and then where you're like, man, I'm really just enjoying this. Because as a writer, we've probably all done it where you start to get like reading as a writer or an editor so much. But when I read the Legionnaire, I was like, I just loved it. I read the whole book in like a day and a half, which is like really fast for me. Good stuff.
I feel like Nick and Jason, they must have asked themselves, what is the most fun? Like, what do I love reading or watching on the big screen? What is fun? And I'm just going to take it all and put it in my series and write a book about it. Every fun thing. Like every page when I'm reading it, there's something new, something fun. So they're
both super creative, fun people that are excellent writers, and I think they have a top-notch editor. That's what I'm guessing, because that does make a difference. Mm-hmm. Even if you sometimes push back and make them scream at you like I do with mine all the time, because I'm kind of difficult. Sorry.
So Christy makes a good point, or Cowboy Bebop. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Trigun.
There you go. All those.
Okay, so yeah.
Roll the dice.
Are we rolling again?
Are we rolling again? Or are we going to go to the actual writing? Let's do another dice roll of the meet the host. It fell on the floor. But it is a 7.
7. If you ever had to live in one book series' universe, which would it be?
See, I wrote this question and I don't even know how I would answer it. I kind of thought like maybe J.K. Rowling's universe, if I could have magic, and I'm not a muggle. Cool. I don't want to be a muggle in her universe though. So it's like basically ours with magic. Only I don't know if I'd want to be in Harry Dresden Files because it seems like a lot of people are dying. A lot of cataclysmic events happening in Dresden Files, so I don't know if I want to live there.
The world's always ending in these books and stories, so that is a definite downer. I used to think I'd want to go back and be like in Master and Commander times, but they don't have climate control, they don't have toilet paper, they got a lot of things that I really need in life that would be down. I'd like to go into Westeros, but I'd probably be dead because everybody dies in Westeros.
Especially the good people.
Yeah, and you have to life's pretty harsh there. So I don't know. It's fascinating to me, but the thought of actually living in there would be pretty scary. Pretty scary. So.
I would have to say I would want to live in my own universe in Grimthea.
There you go.
I've technically already been living there for 20 years. So
yeah, really.
But to actually physically be there would be amazing.
That would
especially
be cool.
Delena. I want to go in Delena. But fuck the Jritai. Those shit's scary.
Absolutely.
None of you have any idea what I'm talking about, but that's okay.
We all will. Soon.
One day.
One day soon.
Yes. Further down this writer's journey.
All right.
Oh, do we want to do like a writing question?
Let's go into some of the writing questions, and then we can do whatever. I'm easy to please when my mic works.
So here's a long one. So the concept for the show is that we're three authors who are on this journey to becoming better writers. Scott, you've been on it for a while, so you're kind of like a mentor figure. Okay, I'm a wannabe author, haven't even published yet, and Kalene's published, but she's still got a lot to learn. So we want to kind of figure out what do we need to know? What do we need to know to be successful and just to develop our craft? And then each night we'll look at one question and bring on a guest who is an expert and can help us to explore that topic. Christmas is coming up. If Santa could put knowledge in a box and just tell you anything you'd want to know about writing, it's in the box, you can open it up and then boom, you know that knowledge. What would you want to know? And definitely chat, what would you guys want to know? What questions would you want answered about writing? Yeah, so.
Now we go to the live chat.
Want to learn.
They should be typing all kinds of good stuff here any second. Jared Hanley says he would not want to live in the Ember Wars because Richard Fox is a jerk to his characters. They do kind of have a hard time. Yeah, that's true. Barda Day says he also wants a mentor.
Yeah.
Consistently, Christy would go to her universe. So, yeah. Well, that's why we're here. We're kind of like all mentoring each other. So, we all have stuff that we can do for each other. That's the thing. We all help each other rise the boats or whatever it is. You know, the rising tide lifts all boats is a great analogy. It's more of the 20 books people say it all the time. And we threw that out to our group and they're like, and then a hurricane sinks the boat.
We're so cynical.
Okay. So, what do you all have for
how to write gooder?
How to write more gooder.
Yeah. Bard of today, how to write gooder.
Winner.
For me, off the top of my head, would be probably more like a magic thing. Could you just put everything that I see in my head like in order as it's supposed to be? Because I don't write in order. I see everything, so I write what is the clearest. But then after I have the full draft, I have to go back and sort of layer them properly. Otherwise, the story doesn't make sense. So if I could just like already know that going in, would be fantastic.
So how to revise your draft to make your concept clear to the reader, to make the scene as you see it clear to the reader.
Or that works too.
Yeah. So how basically
make the plot clear.
So yeah, have a stronger concept of plot prior.
Before you start, or yeah. So do we want to make notes of these things for are we talking about a plot episode doing, or we want to just discuss them right now?
Yeah. So these are topics that we would do in future episodes.
Yeah.
So
I think
coming up with topics.
Building the show topics.
Yeah.
Live with you guys with the chat. You've got some ideas already, but
so getting all of that imagination onto the page and then getting it to make sense to the readers as much as it makes sense to the author.
Let's see, Blake Arthur Peel. Honestly, marketing is the hardest thing for me. If I could magically become an amazing book marketer, that would be amazing.
That would be.
Bard of today. Oh,
we've got one in mind actually that we'd love to bring on the show, and we're going to
for marketing.
Yeah.
Are we talking about those here, or we not have commitments from them yet?
Do not have commitments.
Okay. We'll track them down and kidnap them in a van and bring them to the punch. Yeah. So that would be a great show. We take this to the next level. Next year, like you ever seen the comedians in cars having coffee?
Trailers. I've seen trailers. Looks really
good. Well, we could do one like where we like kidnap famous authors and interrogate them online and stuff. I'm sure it's not illegal at all. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's okay. We have chocolate. You just need to answer questions.
We'll just make sure no cop sees us, right?
Yeah. We'll lure them into the van with coffee and promises of free books. And
wait, what's your full-time job again?
Oh yeah,
you do for a living?
might be a conflict of interest there.
It's okay. We already got a cop with us. He says it's totally fine.
He says this is okay. It's okay.
Bald cop says it's okay.
Scared from the government. We're here to help. That's what we say. That'll work.
Got it.
Okay. What else? What are some other Christmas presents people want?
Let's see. Part of today, logic, structure, communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Each one of those could be an episode easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, a free book club deal would get authors into the van. I'm looking at Christie's comment there. So
I love Blake Arthur Peel's comment. Just used amazing twice in a row. I need to get gooder. I need to write gooder too.
Amazing.
Yeah, crutch words.
Amazing.
Amazing. Eliminate.
So that would be a strong hand in revision and letting go of your words to make them better. So if you want to get gooder, get stronger revising. You're halfway there.
I had a really good friend who was a police officer when I first started, and he had a master's in fine arts in pottery or ceramic design or whatever you call it in their thing. And he left the department and went and became a teacher and taught art and stuff. And he's been doing that for a long time now. But he was telling me one time that when he was doing like his master's thesis for ceramics, you go into the class and you make this thing and then you smash it with a hammer. And then you start over. And his instructor would make him do that from time. They're like, that's pretty good. Now hit it with a hammer and break it. And so I guess what he's trying to tell him is, you know, that the thing that you create is not the thing. You know, it's the process. It's the journey. You can make more. You can make more words. You can make another pot. And we used to have this argument all the time about whether he could draw. He said, if somebody took he's right-handed. So he said, if somebody took my right hand and I drew for the rest of my left hand, would I create the same art? And he believed that eventually he would. It would be the same. And I was like, it seems a little bit difficult to draw with your left hand. But so he really believed that all that stuff's inside of you, and then it's the translation to the public that is the hard part.
Maybe that's why Word used to crash so much.
Yeah.
So you get through your 50,000 word manuscript or whatever. You're like, the end. Word crashes.
They're trying to teach us. Yeah, they're trying to teach
you patience and that the art can just keep coming out.
Yeah. The internet overlords.
Control S. It's like a constant, like every other sentence. Control S. Control S.
I do save a lot. I'm a habitual project saver.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for the cloud. Just keep saving.
So things I'd love to understand marketing. I have some ideas on it. Most of them are kind of scary. And then I would like to, I think it'd be good. A lot of my things that I would need are kind of nuanced and seem kind of boring, but like being able to like stay on task on one project. I don't know if you could do a whole show on that, but I think that's pretty important. Or is it even the right thing to do? Because I tend to go back and forth between multiple projects. Some things like that might be interesting to just have a complete mastery of them. I'd like to have a complete mastery of grammar. Like, okay, so here's what I want. If I could have one thing in my magical Christmas writing box that is now it just works is if I could understand lie, lay, and those words, then I'd be happy.
Yeah. Well, that an editor can help you with.
I know.
Editor,
but shouldn't I be able to know by now? I mean, I've looked it up like 100 times. I should know how to do that. Go ahead.
I would love an editor to help me with, and I am an editor, is character voices. Making each character kind of distinct and unique and come alive. I'm writing a romance, right? And I feel like my guy characters kind of sound like me, and that's not good. I need them to sound like guys.
So I'm helping a friend of mine break into fiction writing because she's strictly nonfiction. And my biggest critique to her has always been, it's still sounding like you're talking. So I'm like, let me give you an example. So I took, just like a paragraph out of her work that was 3 different characters talking back and forth. And I just read those words without the who said what. And I'm like, okay, who was talking? And she goes, just that one person. I'm like, that was 3 different characters, and it blew her mind. I'm like, the structure of how they're talking and the words that each of them are using are identical. So when I'm talking, I say like, like gonna, oh, I shoulda, and things like that. And sometimes, I get a double on thing on that. So it's like just like small things that you can do that way, to build like different voices, especially like accents. If you could just like punch those in every now and then.
Yeah,
helps
DeMarco. Ooh, sorry. Guy Anthony DeMarco says, hang out at Starbucks and listen to people around you. And I love that. Dostoevsky, Fyodor Dostoevsky, he used to do that too. He'd hang out in restaurants and listen to people talk. And I don't know if he wrote down what they were saying, but he used their voices to inspire his characters, and that's why his characters are really thoughtful and they come alive and stuff. So maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I just need to go to a Starbucks and copy down people's speech.
Go to Starbucks, or there's lots of interesting places you could go to listen to stuff. But so 2 things on that. Guy is absolutely correct, is that you have to be, one of the things you should be doing as any type of artist is kind of spending some time in the cathedral of silence where you just observe the world around you and don't worry about your story or writing. But being a keen observer of people is important to a writer, and it's important like an artist, because like you ever like look at a tree and try to figure out how you draw it without drawing it. But so being really attentive to people. And I watched this woman, I can't remember her name, but she does all these amazing voices, all these different accents. But she talks a lot about how you learn to do an accent is you have to be really attentive to the people. So that's one. The other thing I think is actually that I've tried, I think it works pretty good, is if you write something, so you're going to write some dialogue, you open up a new document and you put at the top of the document, instead of putting your name, put a pen name there, and you write as somebody else. And you make a promise to yourself not to show it to anybody, and then you just slap it around and so now you're not, because our problem with writers is we identify with our writing, and subconsciously we're like, well, people are going to think this is how I am when I write about this murderer who just tied somebody up and is a serial killer. And it's hard internally to separate that. And so I think if you pretend like you're writing under a different name, even if you're never going to write under a pen name, it can give you some freedom to mix it up a little bit. And then like I keep going back to art for some reason. But like a lot of times when you learn to draw, I had a teacher that would just sketch really, really dirty sketches, just as fast as you can, make these really nasty, where you're just sketching really fast, like you don't pick your pen up hardly at all, and you make these crazy, you see them all the time, but that's not how it looks in the end, but that's how you have to start. Yeah. So intentionally write sloppy. I don't know. I think those are good tools.
The vomit stage.
Yeah.
So I do the vomit stage where everything's going down on the page.
Yep.
And then once I can't vomit anymore, my stomach is empty, or my mind, go back to the beginning and I start sifting through, the pieces that are actually going to stick, I guess you could say.
Yep. And Josh uses voice dictation for dialogue. He says that helps him. So, go ahead.
Consistently, Christy says, character voice. Gotta at least be acquainted with them. Good point. An educated woman in the South will speak one way to certain people and possibly switch dialects and patterns when she talks to another set. Yeah, that's true. You could have a character who's changing the way they talk. I mean, people do that all the time, right? Changing the way they talk depending on who their audience is. That's a really good point.
Yep.
An uneducated man in the 1800s grew up rough, will have a different way of speaking. Gotta know a bit of history, watch period movies and shows, research.
And also, if you can, any of your characters, if you can kind of attone them to people that you do know or people that you're close to, those are the voices that you know the most. So they call you before they even say who they are, it's them. They have a certain pattern of speech. You could use them as sort of like inspiration. Okay, I'm going to channel David, whoever David might be, whenever I think about Peter, so that Peter doesn't sound like Leslie, sort of thing.
Yeah, this will definitely be another good topic for
Yep.
for an
So
episode.
voice.
Lots of ideas. What else do we have? JR said, I would love to know how to be more efficient. I only get so many hours of clear heads with my brain fog. Can Santa answer that? Yeah, can Santa answer that for all of us? How can we be more efficient, better use of our time, clearer heads? Yeah.
Lots of breaks. I know we probably all drink coffee by the bucket loads, but throwing in some water in there every now and then, get some exercise. There's lots of.
I'm a big fan of process. We can definitely do a show on process for you, JR, because it's one of my favorite topics. What else we got? Sometimes I read my write. This is from the. You want me to read these, Lauren, or?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just picking these at random. Some of the ones we noted down are actually Lauren and Kalene worked on. Sometimes I read my writing and it doesn't sound booky. Is there an aspect of your writing that you're working on improving? What steps are you taking to improve? So yeah, I think we could definitely do some shows on that, and discuss that. It's an interesting topic because we all have that, but not all the time. Sometimes you read your own writing and it sounds wonderful, and other times you want to die because it's so sucky. But yeah, so that's a good one. Have you ever written from personal life experience? Would you recommend doing so? Could you give us an example so we could talk about that too? People are interested now or later.
Bart of Today just asked how to make a writing career when you have a full-time job and family. So that's definitely something Lauren and I were jotting down as having for a full show. Where was it at? Basically how to maintain developing a writing habit.
Yep. I think a lot of us are into that. I mean, I have 4 kids, and my wife and we all live at home, and a dog. I work full time, and I was on 2 different teams for my job that were 24/7 call out. So, I mean, I have it a little bit easier right now because my kids are a little bit older, but I have some thoughts on that topic. I can definitely go into that if we want to talk about that. And we all can. We all have something to offer on that team answer, right?
Yeah, so see. Writing with Dragon, Guy Anthony DeMarco saying that's literally word vomiting. I can get a lot of words down on the page. Wow, 246K for Nano.
Wait, that's 1 month?
A lot of words.
146,000 words in 1 month?
It says this year. I'm hoping that's for the year. Holy crap,
that's
in a month.
I think that's for November of this year. Because I was watching some of their progress. Some of the guys, I know several people that broke 120.
Wow, good job.
That's amazing.
I think that brings up a good point about Dragon. What I use Dictation for, I try to use it for productivity. I'm not sure how much it's a little more productive, but I think it's a good way when you're stuck or got a little bit of block or something. If you do Dictation, it's a different paintbrush, so to speak, and it can help you break through and get some words in when you otherwise would just be staring at a blank page. So I really do like Dictation. We could probably talk about that too.
Yeah, let's get someone on.
Yes.
Wait, let's get Guy on.
Yeah.
Right.
Big Guy on the show.
Tell us your dictation.
How did you write 246,000 words in a month? Give us all your wisdom.
He's just talking to himself. So I'm starting this dictation, and I need to write about.
All words count. Yeah.
Okay. All words matter.
I'm just kidding.
Well, there are some people that do that. There was I can't remember what her name was at the 20 books. She writes, I think, urban fantasy. Oh, I'm gonna think of it, but she gave a talk about how she was like basically killing herself, but she's writing ridiculously huge word counts every day, and was obviously a very focused person. I don't think she had kids and family and stuff yet, but yeah, she put up like 15,000, 20,000 words a day every day. So it can be done. If you break down how fast you type and then divide it, multiply it by minutes and hours, really you could, in theory, do a ton of words. It's just keeping
the momentum.
It's getting your imagination to connect with your fingers, I guess, is the way.
Well, really, I mean, we're talking about getting words out, but getting words out means getting story out.
Yeah,
you have
story first.
Each character has their own motivations. They've got their own goals for the story, and they might take you places in the middle of your scene that you hadn't expected them to go. So it's really not just saying that many words an hour. It's also like conceptualizing all the story and building it and developing it. That's crazy. Yeah. That is crazy.
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of people, they talk about being massively productive. They say they have a really good outline and then they like dictate or type and it makes them more productive. But some people are really productive by pantsing. And the only way you can do that is if you have to not get in your own way, which means you have to chase all the rabbits into all of the holes, which can make kind of a nasty revision process, but it could also be awesome. And I've also heard it said that outlining and pantsing is exactly the same thing. It's just one's pantsing a story by the seat of your pants is the same as outlining. It's just that you write the words a little different. That makes sense. I'm not really expressing that well. It's the same thing.
It almost sounds like you, like an outliner. They outline, and then it's almost like they're pantsing because they're following the outline. Yeah, they might take a couple tangents. Pantsers take tangents and then do the outline.
Yeah, you're drafting one way or another. Whether you're doing it in bullet form or whether you're doing it in narrative form, you're still coming up with the story the first time. So really the first draft, if it's in an outline form, is no different than the first draft that's in a by the seat of your pants form. That's one way to look at it.
Hopefully it's more focused.
Yeah, and it just depends. We definitely are going to probably go into that planning in several different times because it changes. Guy says, I have a form for each scene that helps for each piece. Says what's going to happen in the scene. So it basically has kind of some structure and outline. Plans has a roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah. And then consistently, Christy, she says, I think writing fan fiction helped me with writing character voice because you take already existing characters and you sort of have to stay true to them. And they're all usually very different. Yeah.
That's a good point. Back to our earlier topic about collaboration. As a developmental exercise for writing in someone else's world is good practice because you can't just do whatever you want. You have to fit their voice or you have to fit their world canon, and it's harder than just writing your own stuff for me at least. And it's good. It'll sharpen your axe a little bit if you do that.
Very good. So let's see, what else do we have on here? I'm just going to go down to the next one. Have you ever written from personal life experience? Yeah. Would you recommend doing so? Could you give us an example? I do have one if no one else.
Yeah, go. I have a bunch, but you go first.
Okay, so so I do write from life experience, whether it be what I might have been feeling is the tone of the scene to an interpretation of something that I had gone through. So there's one part in my very first book. There is this woman who is trapped in this cave that has no way out. And it's very dark and dank, and there's, glowing patches of moldy, spongy stuff everywhere, and she's in tattered robes, she's bloody from scratching at the walls, and I'm gonna get super deep right now, but that is the what I felt like when I was about 15 to 18 years old, was this void of a place I could never escape. So I turned that into a character and a sort of like a midway point of where she's at.
And the setting, it sounds like too, like the setting was kind of pulling from where your mind was at.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah.
Like in the Crucible, that's something I think everybody, I mean, that speaks to everybody because I think we've all been there in one form or another. So that's a good one to write about. I'm getting a lot of static. Is that me or somebody else?
I can hear it too. I don't know.
Mute my mic real quick.
Leave the wand.
Do you still hear it? Is it me? I don't know. I've been playing with my cord. I don't know. That's making static.
I muted mine. It's not as bad as the mic's going off, I guess. So moving on.
Scott, what was your
well, as far as a general topic, I my example would be like I would tell lots of stories about work. You know, like I tell my coyote story I told on the show. Like we saw a homeless guy carrying a coyote. That's hilarious. You know, and we tell all these crazy stories, and people are like, you should write a book. And my feeling was I didn't want to write a cop book because I figured, one, there's probably 100,000 other cops writing cop books because we all tell stories. It's our job, because you have to like literally go out, meet new people, write a report every day, all day long. And so that's all you do. And then you go back and you decompress and you tell all your friends, hey, you wouldn't believe this crazy goat carrying guy I saw the other day. And you tell those, and there are all these stories. But so what I did was I didn't write any cop stories until I'd been a cop for 10 years. And then I wrote the stories, but I put them in an urban fantasy realm so that they could, so to kind of protect the names of the innocent, I guess. You know, I wasn't drawing directly from life, but you know, it filters in the general experiences and your character voices, and maybe some of people's struggles and stuff get in there. So I think it's definitely something you can do. This question might be something like more specific, and I maybe I don't got the courage to write something that's like really, really personal to me, because I can get kind of choked up with some of that. But I think it's a good idea. I just think you have to have a way to, you got to be courageous to share that stuff, I guess, in some way.
Yeah. With my book, I'm writing it really to teach myself how to write, actually. And it's my first novel, and I know I need to learn to write. So I thought it would be kind of like lighthearted. But of course, my heroine, you know, to go out west, she needs to let go of home. So to do that, her dad, whom she loves very much, has got to die.
Sorry, Dad.
Like, for the sake of the plot, he's got to die, right? So I'm writing this scene where, like, she finds out, you know, he's dying. I'm writing it all out, and I'm getting like really choked up. Why am I so sad when I'm writing this? Why is this hitting me so hard? And you know, I realized, you know, my dad's gone through some health struggles. You know, Dad, sorry if you're listening. You know, I haven't, you know, consciously been thinking about what would happen if you weren't around. But like in the middle of this writing the scene, like suddenly I felt it, and I was like, oh my dad so much. And yeah, sometimes unexpectedly, you didn't expect your life to kind of bleed into your story, but it does. It really does. Even in a storyline that, you know, normally wouldn't have anything to do with your life, it shows up. Well, you're right. You gotta have courage to kind of keep on pressing on that emotion and keep being true to yourself in your writing and keep pushing it, and not to just like shut that door and quickly finish a scene and write something else.
Yep. And I read that scene. That was a really good scene. You sent me one of your drafts. Yeah. That was good.
I was like crying while I was reading.
You know, you're doing something right. If you can make yourself either laugh or cry or curse, then there's a good chance you're going to get your readers to do that as well. Like I was listening to Stephen King, the On Writing book, and he talks about that his best moments are when he gives his stuff to his wife and she laughs out loud, because then he feels like he's done something. So
JR says, tell the story of how Scott almost got arrested by a Vegas rent-a-cop, and you are a cop.
Yeah, I didn't almost get arrested, but it was funny. So we're sitting there at Vegas in Sam's Town. There is, I'm assuming this is the right story because some of it's a blur, but so there's a bar right in the middle of the atrium, and the atrium is huge. And we've been waiting. It was the first night we were there, and we knew Nathan Heisted was coming, and I was just worried that he was going to be tired after flying like 27 hours from wherever he's from in Canada. I know it was a really long flight with like 7 layovers, and I was like, he's totally going to just go straight to his room, because it was like 10 o'clock at night by that time. But you can see the check-in desk from the bar. And so I look over there, and I see Nathan checking in, and we're like, hey, there's Nathan. I said, I'm going to go get him. I'm not going to let him escape. And so I jumped the rail, because the bar is kind of elevated. It has all these rocks and fake coyotes and stuff. And so I just jumped in, and the way it's laid out, you have to like move like 7 people to get around the table and then go around the bar and get out to the door, or the so I just jumped the rail and climbed down the rocks and jumped onto the walking path in the atrium, and I landed right. When I landed, I literally landed and looked up, and there's a security guard right there. And I just felt like an asshole. So I said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, that won't ever happen again." He goes, "Well, see that it doesn't." I was like, "All right, see you later." And then I just went past him, pretending it never happened. So
Nice.
that's the key. Just be polite, professional, and then keep moving. Hopefully they won't chase you. That's my advice. Do not get arrested.
So is that going in a book?
Yeah, I can go in a book. I could totally go in the book. We'll call it the Great Coyote Nathan Heisted experience or something. Yeah.
So,
and I may have had a couple of beers at that point too. And if I drink, I tend to climb on things. So fun fact.
All right, where's
and set your
Josh?
mouth on fire, apparently.
Yeah, and light my face on fire. That's another story.
Yeah.
But technically, I didn't light my face on fire. Josh lit my face on fire. So it's his fault.
Does that make it better or worse? I don't know.
I don't know. all I care about is that in the video that it's kind of lame because my fire didn't shoot up like the other guys did that much. So good times.
So Dan Proctor had a really good one. Do you struggle with motivation to keep writing? Any tips for keeping motivated?
I got tips, but you go first. Or anybody.
If you're ready to go, good. Yeah.
Okay.
Rock it.
I don't want to. I sometimes feel like I talk too much, but so this is something that's really important to me. Staying motivated when you're in the crucible of life with family and work, and you really want it for your career, and you want it to be good, and you don't. It's not a hobby, So like. That's not a topic, but anyway, so motivation is important, and you're pressured into such small blocks of time. So what are you willing to do to be successful? Are you willing to write for 5 minutes? Because it usually takes people a long time to get in the groove. But if all you have is 5 minutes, will you write for 5 minutes? If you have to get up at 3 a.m., like I do, will you do that? Will you stay up late? Will you not go out to dinner with family or friends because you want to get this idea down and stuff? And it's always a balance. It's never one choice solves all of them. So the motivation, for me, it has a couple of things. One, you have to have fun. So if you're not having fun, you need to get back to what makes it fun. You need to know your goal, know your why, know what you're trying to get there for it. And then make some small steps you can measure. And then for me, the easiest way for me is if I am really, really stuck and not motivated, I write something else. And it's not always the right decision to do because you need to get projects done that's on your deadline. And I know that it's a form of resistance to write something else, but it's better than sitting there doing nothing or skipping a day. And so I will do that. So that's the big thing. It's like Bard says, I can't stop writing. I mean, I would be very unhappy, and nobody would want to be around me if I didn't write. I would literally be the biggest asshole that you know. I'd be bitter and resentful, and I tried that. It doesn't work. So, and give yourself a break. Sometimes you need a break.
Very true.
Put a limit on it, and then when it's over, the next day, write at least a sentence. At least one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went into this. I've never counted words. I've never been a word counter. I've always seen my writing in blocks of time and specific scenes. So if I wrote a whole scene, and that could be anywhere from 5 to 20,000 words, if I got that whole scene down, then I felt satisfied. So this concept of word counting has been new to me, and I think that might be, one of the easiest ways for writers to stay motivated is they set a realistic word count. If you're a really slow typer and you set a 5,000 word count for the day, you're probably not going to hit it. But, if you set a 500, then you might be able to push yourself, and that could keep you motivated that, okay, yeah, I did that. Maybe I could do, another 100 the next day. And really excited about certain scenes, you can skip ahead and write those, get back to the slower ones later.
Yep, those are good tips. And hang out with people who are into the same thing you're into. So if you're not hanging out with writers either online or in real life, then you're going to have a hard time because nobody understands writing except for writers and editors.
Yeah, for me,
honestly,
it's someone who's reading my stuff. You know, like if I've got even someone in my family, but a friend who's just telling me, I can't wait to read it. Those 6 words for me are magical. I can't wait to read it. And them telling me that, it holds my feet to the fire, and I just keep going anyway to get them the next chapter.
Yeah, that's huge.
Honestly, ever since I started watching Keystroke Medium, now I'm hosting on it, which is another thing with collaborations. Is just you're chatting with people, you're getting to know people without any end game. I just wanted to know more people who are as crazy as I am, and at that moment, I was kind of losing my fire, I guess you could say. I still loved writing. I still wanted to get the words out, but every day was a struggle. It was so hard to get into my characters' heads. And it was like I had to, beat myself with a club just to get anything down. But once I started getting more involved and opening up more with the Keystroke Medium community, my fire reignited. So that's another thing for motivation is, what Scott was saying is, surround yourself with like-minded people.
That's the way to go. That's really important.
I'm sorry.
No, good.
Guy says if you want to write full-time, treat it like a full-time job when you make a move. Yeah, it's a job.
We need to have a show on that because
right.
On one hand, it's like, so like if you went to work, like I go to my job, I have to go to work. It's in Stephen Pressfield's books. He talks about a pro shows up on time and works all day. If you're a truck driver, you don't get to go drive for 2 hours because that's what you feel. You got to drive the whole route. You don't get any credit for not doing the whole thing. So on one hand, you have to be disciplined like that. But on the other hand, you got to be kind to yourself because we are still artists. And so maybe having that Marine Corps work ethic, it might mean different things. Maybe you're not just pounding words all the time. Maybe you're reading something that inspires you, and that counts. I don't know.
Absolutely.
We probably do need to wrap it up. I mean, you guys can go as long as you can, but I got to get up really super early in the morning because I have to write.
Yeah, that's right.
At 3. So it's 9 o'clock here. So 3 o'clock is looking a lot closer.
3 comes early
than it did an hour ago.
All right.
So, thanks,
well, thank you guys for joining us on our very first episode of The Writer's Journey. And thanks, Scott Moon, you're our Aragorn. And Kalene, I guess we're like Frodo and Sam. We're still figuring that out. Oh, yeah. We figured this all out. Scott's Aragorn. Chuck is Gimli. Ralph is Legolas. Josh is Pippin. Ellen is Mary, because that's the name's ironic, and she's also Hobbit. And Steve can be Figwit.
That's awesome. We're working. What we should do is a segment on the analogy of the Lord of the Rings writing group analogy.
Oh, Jason's here. Hi, Jason.
We're just always
late.
We're about to leave.
Everybody leave. Jason's here.
No. Josh is Pippin. Yeah.
Josh is Pippin.
We've decided.
Can confirm. That's true.
And we don't know who Gandalf is.
Yeah, Gandalf.
I have sent off a request to a wizard, and like every good wizard, he is pondering his answer. He will come and be our Gandalf.
We need to get like Michael Kramer or somebody to come be Gandalf, or somebody Gandalf. Who's Gandalf-ish? Surely there's going to be a Gandalf.
I think I know who Lauren's thinking of, and it would be perfect.
Okay, cool. All righty, well, do we want to roll out and come back next time?
Oh, yeah.
I'm so prepared.
Should I read my script? Thanks so much for coming on the show. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. Let us know what you thought about the show in the comments below. And be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We'd love to hear from you. For Scott Moon and Kalene Williams, I'm Lauren Moore. Got that right this time. And we've been live tonight with you, our viewers. Be sure to come back and join us on Monday night for the Monday night show as we talk about reading, writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.